I would like officially to welcome you, Equa, and thank you so much for today. I really appreciate you being here and giving us your advice according to career transition and tips and methods of what we will be able to use. This is one of the Powers of Life chat and learn sessions, so I would like all of you guys to feel free to write on the chat, tell us where you are calling, as well as if you have any other questions. We have already some questions that you have submitted, but also if you have any additional questions, please feel free, participate. This is a group, this is a community, and this is a place where we grow together, because I am personally learning so many things from our speakers, especially today. I'm waiting to learn from Equa, like all the things that she has to share with us. For those who don't know me, I'm Linda, part of Power to Fly community. And I'm a minimalist as well, and I've been also through a career journey myself. And today I'm bringing you Equa, and I would love for you, Equa, if you would like to introduce yourself. And let me know if you want me to share the slides as well while you introducing yourself.
Yes, please do introduce. Please do share the slides.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Equa, and I'm going to be taking you through my presentation. So slide 1 is the title, 3 steps for career success, career transition success, how to change your career and land the job that you love. Yeah, so please do roll to the next slide, please, Linda.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you a bit about myself. So I'm a career change and job search strategist coach, an author and an advocate for Black women in tech. I've got a portfolio career, so I'm involved in many different things, but I am super passionate about coaching. In my previous life, I was a civil servant working for the UK government. I first started off as a personal assistant, and then I trained to be an IT and digital project manager. I really enjoyed working on digital transformation projects in the public sector, but I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. So whilst I was working in full-time employment, I took the opportunity to get involved in the startup scene in London. I should say I'm based in London, so welcome from everyone around the world. And I started a startup around hackathons. So basically bringing people together to create interesting products and services, amongst many other things. And then I also left that and went on to be a contractor in the IT and project management space. And then finally going into full-time entrepreneurship and then coaching and working with women to help them to really think about using their passions and their skills to transition to different careers and to understand, where they want to make impact. So just briefly to let you know that my book that I wrote last year, it's all about using the entrepreneurial mindset, some of my startup stories, how to tackle imposter syndrome, really about using the growth mindset and positive attitude for your business and your career, and really how to seek out help and advice to do that. Because I think that as women and as everyone out there, we shouldn't feel ashamed to ask for help. It's good to be on these events where you can ask questions, but also use your network to do so. So let's get started with tip number 1.
Awesome. I'll just stop sharing for. Oops, I lost it. Okay. Don't panic, everyone. All right. This happens in the live session,
that's
so
fine.
I want you to know. All right. There we go. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much, Equa. I really appreciate that great intro of yours. And with that being said, I would like I would like us to go through some the first way we should go through the tips you would like to share with us, and then moving forward at the end, towards the end, through the questions and probably the answers that you would like us to give. You would like to give us the answer. So yeah, thank you so much. With that, I'm just starting to to share my screen once again with your beautiful presentation. And there we go. There we go. All right.
Okay. Yeah, so the first tip I'm going to give is know your dream job. So we can spend like a lot of time and energy and effort, dwelling in the pit of negativity, knowing the things that we don't want, knowing the things we're frustrated with, and knowing the things that just make us sad and unhappy. But in order for us to get to our dream job, we need to be like clear and focused on what that means to us, and how we arrive at knowing what that is. So I'm just going to go through a couple of tips around how to, identify your dream job, and how to think about, how you can, find your way there. So I think the first thing to say is really to think about your career values. And career values are really about the things that make you tick and make you enjoy the job that you want to do, but also what you're seeking to get out of that job. So what I mean by that is, do you want to do particular activities? Do you want to work with particular people? Do you want to work with a particular location? Do you want to have like a particular impact for people, planet, and profit? And what is it that really, drives you and makes you feel purposeful and fulfilled in the job that you're seeking to do? So it's really like taking some time to think and reflect about that. So that's the first thing to do. And then the second thing is really around thinking about your strengths and your skills, and how you identify them.
Before we go there, I really want to tap into that and share a little bit more about those kind of things. Like when you say like how can we identify like the first steps, like the dream job, like how can we actually get there and see like, oh, this is what I want to do and I found it. Perfect, let's go for it. Like how would you advise for us to basically define that dream job?
Yeah, so I think to define your dream job, you need to think about what are you passionate about? What do you do in your spare time? What would you not, if you were just doing it and you didn't have to think about getting paid for it, what would you do? And that would be an indication of like where to start and what to think about, but also to think about the things that you're involved in, like in your hobbies, and also things that people come to you and you ask for advice and you think nothing more about it. But those are the places you should look at to think about like that you could turn into like a dream job role, or perhaps some kind of freelance gig, or business idea or opportunity.
Amazing. I really like that, because like when I start like my career journey, as well, like as you said, I was wondering like where do I start and what do I actually like to do? And sometimes you say like, oh, but I like to be among people, but I don't know how to phrase that professionally. What do I do? Do I do customer support? Do I do community? Do I do events? What is like exactly like with a career path? Because people say, oh, I like spending time with my friends. What do I do for a career? And I'll tell you, you can do community management. That is spending time with your friends, basically. So yeah, that is a great thing to know. And to move forward to your second step, and I just wanted to say to everyone, if you have like any kind of questions, drop them on the Q&A. I'll just write it as well here, so we can gather those questions at the end and ask Equa more. And like this is your opportunity to have Equa here live. By the way, it's Equa. I'm sorry.
Equa, yes.
Equa, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You have like Equa here live. So take advantage of that opportunity. Awesome. So I'll just go once again and share my screen. Let's go to the step number 2.
Oh, let's go back to step number one, because there's a few more things just to say in there. So we're just talking about like identifying your career values and having an idea about, you know, how to identify the things that you enjoy and thinking about how you could utilize them. So, but you then want to think about your skills. And for that, you know, you might want to do personality quiz. You might want to ask your friends or your family, or you might want to, like, if you have trusted colleagues, to ask them what they think you're good at, so you can like take an audit about that. But you know, once you kind of get an idea about like some of the ideas that you're interested in, it's great to talk to people in your network about, you know, hey, I'm really interested in actually just, you know, talking to people using social media. I noticed that you're doing, you know, work in that area. Tell me more about how did you get there? What kind of skills do I need? And what would you recommend for me to do to build a pathway to that? So I think it's just about, you know, identifying, you know, your passions, but then taking a further step to find your career values and to think about looking at potential job titles and seeing how that sounds to you, but not just looking at those things in isolation, but actually having conversations with people in your network that you feel like you can approach to find out more about whether that's really what you think it is, or whether it's something that actually, on discovering what the nuts and bolts of that position are, it's not for you. So that's step number one.
And on that, I will actually agree very, very much, because when I started this career, like in community management, I first was like, okay, how do I get there? I have to find people who have already these job titles, and I have to ask them, I have to ping them and say, hey, how did you get there? What did you do? Like, what was your journey? And I think that is the most important part, like where to start, like asking people who already are where you want to be and ask them for their recipe, basically.
Yeah, but also, you know, seeking out people who are like way ahead of you, so that you can follow them, learn from their free content and their advice, maybe buy their book, join their communities, you know, and then, you know, finding people who are actually in your network who are doing similar work. Be like, hey, I'm interested in this, you know, can you spare time to chat with me? Or, hey, do you recommend a community that I join? Or, hey, do you know someone who's doing this? That would be more at my level, to kind of give you more of like the inside scoop about, you know, how they got there, what I can do, and in fact, to recognize what I've already got, so that I can actually know that I'm not starting from zero. I have some of that stuff, but it's just about how to talk about it, and then how to like build upon it, and like actually you know, progress in getting more skills and taking more steps to actually, you know, get in the job.
Exactly. And I would like you now to go to the second step and say about the skills and what actually what are the tools, what are the qualifications that we need for that dream job.
Okay, so let's go on to step number two. So step number two is there we go. Yeah. So if you have identified the job that you're looking for, it's really about seeing what the key skills that are involved in that job, and understanding what skills you already have, like, you know, auditing your skills, and then seeing where you don't have the skills, and then plugging the gap with like doing online courses or formal learning if needed. But what I wanted to really say about the whole skills area is that we all have skills. So no one is starting from zero. And even if it's not the exact skill that you need for the job, you know, the job has many different tasks to do. And so it might be that you have some skills, let's say, that are in one part, but not the other. But it's about recognizing that and holding on to that, and then thinking about, okay, hey, well, actually, you know, I know how to be organized. I know how to manage a project. You know, I know how to use social media, but actually maybe I don't know specifically how to use this tool that is new. Maybe I should like get on there and learn it and like, you know, be like ahead of the game. So it's really about, you know, being curious about the skills that you have and the areas that you're wanting to go into, and looking about like the innovations in that area and trying to like adopt some of those tools and those trends and trying it out for yourself and experimenting. And, you know, taking an attitude of continuous learning, because if we've seen anything in the last year, it's been that employees have to be really adaptable to change and think about, working in new ways, but also thinking in new ways, because you can't, like, if the circumstances change, you can't operate in the same way. But it's also knowing that actually, if you've come from a slightly different area, that you might have ideas that could be used to help that company, or to think about how to do the work that you're doing differently. And you shouldn't be afraid to speak up about that and to share that, and not to think because, oh, I didn't start as, in X career, therefore my ideas are this valid. No, it's because you've got that unique perspective. You're ideally placed to be giving, different ideas and perspectives and different ways that, things can be done, and that can actually help that company or that team to actually be successful, get new customers, to improve their products and processes. And so it's just about you knowing that learning is part of the game, and it's not that you just learn once and you're done, because actually things are changing all the time, and having that mindset just to just check in about what's happening in that sort of industry, and when new things like arrive, not being the person that sits back, being the person who's like willing to try and to like experiment with that thing, so that by the time your company says, hey, actually we're going to adopt this new tool, you're like, hey, I've been on this thing for like 3 months now, where have you been? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I actually agree with that, because the concept is this: like, when we all went remotely like a year ago, people were a little bit stressed and insecure about the position and what they can do. Well, it was an approach to that. Many people, they started and retraining, and I've seen such a great increase in people like learning UX design and changing careers, like from being like non-tech to tech, and from tech to non-tech. And what I would like to add here, like I fully agree with what you actually said, like the learning online and learning new methods and adapting that what we already know and what we already have done so far, to see like how like our minds can be adaptable to the change, and that we're not fixed in what we know right now. We can always learn new skills, right?
Absolutely. And the great thing is that like that whole like concept about being adaptable and being responsive to change has really been like thrown to the fore, and there's so many great places to learn, like Coursera, Udemy, Future to Learn, and LinkedIn Learning as well, that there's many opportunities to keep yourself up to date, but also just practicing those skills, because as a job seeker you want to be having the core skills, but also thinking about your future. What skills are you going to need to help you get ahead, but also what skills are you going to need to help you to be that person who's at the front of what's happening in that industry, and being that person who's like, hey, actually, have you heard about this? This could like help us to do XYZ, or actually I'm coming from this perspective, and actually I recognize that there are synergies from where I've come from, even though it might be completely different, but actually this could help the company to do this new thing or have this new approach that will really like help to be creative, change the process, innovate, and to really like make sure that that your difference is actually a talent, as well as you like learning what the opportunity that the job is that you're doing, but you confidently knowing that you're coming from a place of strength, and that those skills that you have are just being used slightly differently, and you're growing and adapting with the rest of the company. Because even those people have been in those roles for a while, they still have to learn and adapt to make sure that they can keep up, and that they are improving and helping the company to grow. Because no company wants to stand still. Every company wants to be dynamic, and every company wants people who are courageous enough to be like, hey, have you heard about this trend? Or hey, we've been doing it like this, but do you think that maybe if we do it like that, and actually, where I was before, even though it was different, I see like how that could apply here, and how that if we did that, actually we could be, giving ourselves like a unique advantage, and doing something that might actually turn out to be a trendsetter in our industry, and like we can be like the first mover on it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I like the dynamic approach to that, and like how like skills can always change into something. Like I like to mention something you said before, like uh, the roles are shaped, they're not fixed. Like people might have like some qualifications right now that the role does not exist, but it might be shaped later on in the company, right? And people say, oh, but I know that stuff, I can do it. Oh, now it is my opportunity to do this kind of things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, amazing. So to move, like, do you have like, before we move to the next step, like, do you have like any kind of like, except like from Coursera and all these platforms, like to learn new skills, like how would you say to the audience, like, to apply this new knowledge, like what to do to apply this new piece of information?
Yeah, so what I would say is like build examples of things that you would do typically in the role. So like there's so many opportunities to, demonstrate your skills by volunteering or freelancing. But if you think about, let's say, LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, you can build a profile, but you can also check content. You can do all kinds of things. Like if you know that the job involves those kinds of skills, using those communities that you're in to actually build like a footprint around, your interests, your knowledge, but also how you're following leaders in that field and your opinions. But also, Linda, what I really like recommend to people, and I think that some people feel a bit scared about this, is sharing the learning journey. Like people are often like wonder what to share, especially on LinkedIn. And I'm like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't actually have to like share like amazing like insights or whatever. What is really valuable and what is really powerful and can really attract employers or hiring managers to you is if you, Linda, or any of the guys who are on, or ladies who are on this call, is you're like, you know what, I really am interested in learning about UX design, and I'm going on this like Udemy course, and I'm learning these things, and actually I want to talk about in a little LinkedIn article, how I went on this course and I learned XYZ thing, and what it made me realize, and also what it made me think about when I'm hearing about things that are going on in the sector, and like how either I agree or disagree, or how I think that could be used, because then you are starting a conversation about one, what you've learned, which is amazing, and two, about like how that can be applied and showing you can apply it.
Yeah, definitely. I would say story sharing and sharing like the insights, like it's great, because there are other people out there that they are the same journey as us, and they can share their insights, and then we can grow together. And yeah, as you said, we don't have to have this amazing text to post on LinkedIn. We can just share something that we learn. It might be as simple as, I just had a course on how to do LinkedIn marketing or Twitter marketing, or whatever it is. And then, I actually learned to do this kind of stuff. That brings us together, and it's like we actually find like there are other people out there that they're learning new things, and then we can learn together. We can just share knowledge. And I really like that idea of sharing and not being very like overthinking stuff and saying, I don't know what people will say, or I don't have something very...
Yeah, exactly, because you do have something to share, because your learning is valuable, and that shows that you're proactive, and jobs and employers want proactive people. They want people who are willing to learn and do it on their own initiative. That is super important. But also, you are starting a discussion about skills that are needed in that particular industry, and that is also shows that you're someone who is keeping on top of what's going on in that industry. And by sharing that learning, people will also comment and give you the opportunity to get in conversations with people who are like, actually, yeah, I've been in the industry for like 5 years, and although, I know I'm doing, this is a really good tip, and actually, I didn't know that, or actually, this is a new way to do that. And you're like, your learning is informing people who are ahead of you, which is attracting them to you and giving you the opportunity to connect with them and say, hey, I'm starting out. Thank you so much for commenting on my post. I'd love to connect with you and find out more about your journey, and see how you can, use that conversation that you have started with your learning to build a relationship and to help you to find new peers in that industry, build those connections, and get opportunities to find new jobs or companies that may be a fit for you.
Exactly. We have like to get of that mindset of, oh, I'm shy to share, or that's not valuable, because we are not the best judges of that. The other people are. Like what we say, it's like what we judge as not worthy might be very worthy for somebody else out there. So feel free to share, and feel free to be vulnerable and just ask for advice as well online. Like people say like, oh, what do you think about this kind of project? Like, how can I do it best? And I think that's very, very important. And with that, I would like to move to your next step.
Okay.
And then we go to step number 3.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about your career change or your pivot, like I'd like to start from a positive base. You have amazing skills and abilities, and it's about thinking about how you can utilize them differently. And if you remember, we talked about the transferable skills. That is one way, surefire way to know that you already have skills that can be used anywhere. So you start with that, and then it's like understanding how your past career or job is an asset, because you have examples of things that you've done which you may think sound really out of context with the job that you're applying for, but I can assure you they demonstrate how you're still able to be a manager, a leader, improve a process. And even if it's not exactly in that field, it still shows that you have the mindset and the capacity to do those things, and you can transfer them to do it again in a slightly different field. So I think that we should not get too bogged down by the fact that it wasn't in that exact area, that exact role. It's more about thinking about, what's the big picture here? Project management, leadership, improving processes, saving money, all things that are valuable in any business or any company are things that you can talk about as cross-cutting skills. And then secondly, thinking about, what have you done that has been sort of successful, and talking about that with real confidence, and knowing that, if you think about those transferable skills, talking about those in the way that demonstrates your tangible results. So using the STAR method, that's the situation that you had, the task that you did, the activity, the action that you took, and the tangible result, and being not afraid to own that and saying, I did this and I did that, because that is the only way that people can be sure that you're confident in what you've done in the past. And yes, it's good to be a team player and have those skills, but also you need to be able to step up and know that you're capable of doing things as an individual. And it's having that confidence to believe in your gifts and your talents, and to take a positive attitude. But also, when you're doing your job search, it's about having that balance. It's about taking that time to, yes, dedicate specific time to apply for those roles and to do them, looking at tailoring them, and using your network to find out information, and all those things. But then having that time to rest and recharge, and to not be doing it all the time, because if you do that, you're basically giving you're blocking yourself, because you get tired and burnt out, and you don't want to be tired and burnt out. So I really encourage you to have a balance, but to celebrate your little wins, because it's a long process of hunting, as we all know. So it's really about acknowledging the progress that you make, whether it's about updating your CV, your LinkedIn, taking steps for networking, getting like interviews, or practicing your skills, anything of that nature. Just making sure that you're tuning in to the action and the progress that you're making as you progress along your transition to the career or the job that you're going for, and maintaining that positive and optimistic attitude. Because when you're in that positive frame of mind, you're able to identify different ways to speak about yourself more positively, but also to think about ways that you might have not wanted to embrace before, because you might think that otherwise it's not going to help me. So as we're talking about, you know, when I was saying about, you know, what can you share on LinkedIn, you might have previously thought, well, you know, because I don't have 5 years experience in that field, I shouldn't share my learning. Actually, no, sharing your learning is a way to, you know, be seen and to be visible. You know, secondly, also, what are you hearing in the industry that you find interesting? And, you know, sharing your views, because your views will be different to those that are in the industry. And it's actually understanding, you know, how your different perspective adds value to the conversation and sparks different ideas, and allows people to see, you know, your capabilities and your skills, and how you can move forward into that industry, and demonstrating your excitement and your commitment to you know, joining in that discussion, and, you know, keeping your skills up to date by hearing what's going on.
Yeah, I like that, and I have like so many things to share as well with that, because I've seen like how the attitude has a tremendous effect in job search and also in interviews. Like, I remember myself when I was first starting, like looking especially like for remote jobs, and I hope you guys, if you can relate to any of these stories, please share with us and share like your experience. But from my experience, like when I was like having like interviews, and then I had like, you know, the sweaty palms and my voice was shaky, and I couldn't actually frame my job experience and the skills I had. I did have skills, but I couldn't show them because I was so insecure, and I was like intimidated by somebody else asking me questions in an interview, and I would never could perform good. But then something shifted, like after, you know, practice, and that's why I would say like practice is the key as well with confidence, because I started practicing, and I started practicing like, you know, unofficially and informally, like more like talking to people and just like pitching them kind of, you know, my career story. And then I started building this confidence in the interviews and saying, yes, I have, you know, this is my story, then this is like the outcomes. And something like, and please guys, if you have like any kind of these stories to relate, personally, when I had like rejections in the beginning, I was heartbroken and devastated. But then I was thinking like, it's all right, like let's move on, because people never reject us as people. They don't know us. They can't reject us like as people, but they can, you know, reject some qualifications that we don't have yet, I would say. So yeah, that's a great advice, like to have like confidence and have like a faith in our skills and our abilities to do something. And it's not going to be rocket science unless you are a rocket scientist.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that mindset is really important. You know, having a positive and optimistic mindset really helps with job change and job search strategy. Simply because, you know, if you're positive, you're more open to, you know, framing yourself in a positive way, but also taking the steps to build your confidence by practicing, by, you know, letting people give you like kind feedback to help you to be like, actually, you know, you're talking about, you know, example you did, you know, to give, let's say you're practicing with a friend and you said, oh, you know, well, I worked on this thing, but it didn't quite turn out how expected, but I managed to improve it by XYZ. Your friend might say, well, this is an interesting story, but perhaps you might want to say, actually, I improved this process by doing XYZ, rather than, you know, starting off in a negative sort of framing of it. You know, it's the fact that you did actually achieve something, and there was a result that benefited, you know, the company or your team. You know, and it's remembering to go in with the fact that you did achieve something. And that your skills are valuable, and that, you know, it's a journey, and that everyone is learning, and it's about valuing yourself and having that mindset to know that, you know, being different is not actually a hindrance, it's actually a plus, and because actually people on the job market, they don't want the same people. They want people who have different skills and talents. And yes, obviously you have to, you know, look for the key skills that are, you know, are required in the job. But it's also, you know, talking about what is your unique talent, like what is your thing that can actually be that difference, to help the team to think differently, to actually spot opportunities for that team or that company, and to really like build upon what it is that company's like mission or proposition is. Because by being different and by going in like a different lane, you've come from somewhere that has obviously different ideas, but those ideas could be used in a way that another industry could also take on, but they haven't seen that opportunity. And by you coming across the fence or into that lane, you're bringing that experience and being like, hey guys, did you know that even though this seems like kind of random, actually this could really work? Or can we like test this? Can we try this? I feel like this could really be a way for us to launch something new, or to like use something in a different industry that has worked somewhere else, but modify it for the current industry or job that you're in, to really actually be like an asset to that company and develop something new, or to to create something that really gives that company that advantage, that difference. Because at the end of the day, we don't all want to be. No one wants to give you a widget. They want you to come with obviously the core skills, but they want you to actually like know what it is that you're going to be given. That's that secret sauce, that uniqueness, because it's by having actually a blend of different people and different perspective that you do get to the real like genius and the real like effective working of these companies.
Yes, exactly. And like Amy says, like, thank you for that great reminder, how your unique experience is valuable. So Ekwa, I would love if before we move forward to your next slides, if we can just move to the questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll just take one question from Amy. Said like, advise how to address what you might see as a shortcoming or stretch goals in an interview.
So you're saying if you're how to tackle talking about something that you want to like improve on, or something you want to learn? Is that my understanding of the question?
Amy, if you would like, I can just put you on camera if you want to clarify that with Ekwa. I'll be happy to do so. So you are, she says, yeah. Can you hear us, Amy? If you can see the option for your microphone to unmute, it should be, there we go. Hi, Amy.
Here I am in all my glory. I attended another session yesterday that was talking about, how you always kind of doubt yourself and your skills, and you see yourself as not as what. So this conversation is kind of plays into that too. So I come from that mindset where I'm always having to convince myself that I'm better than I think I am, right? And so sometimes when you're applying for a job and you get an interview, I can really focus on how some aspects of the job I think I'm not good enough, or I need to grow in. And so how would you address that? Or if the interviewer, brings it up and says, I see from your resume and from, what you've prepared that this might be an area of growth. So how would you address that?
Okay, cool. I see. Yeah. So it'd be like, yep, I know that I'm strong in these areas, but I'm really excited to grow and develop in these areas. But actually, although I don't have the complete like skill set in the areas you identified, I have the capacity to actually show how I would like work towards getting them, and how I'd be proactive in doing that. And so it's actually, I think it's about your willingness to demonstrate that you're going to be proactive, and it's about you having the mindset that that's not really a bad thing. It's more that actually, you are going to be able to start from a base, but then move on. And it's just a question of like not seeing it as like a negative. It's more like, well, everyone has got to to grow into their role. Like no one's perfect. There's always room for improvement. There's always ways to develop. And it's just about being like, yeah, okay, yep, this is an area of growth, but it's you being proactive and saying, I would approach it in this way, even though I don't have those skills, and then having that conversation with them to be like, yeah, actually, we offer these training skills, or actually, you know, as you identified, you know, this is an area where I could grow into. I am really keen to sharpen those skills. I'd start with this. What sort of you know, information on your internet, or what kinds of you know, support do you have to like help me to move along that pathway?
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for the question as well. Thank you so much. Like, I hope that helped a lot. So just to move, like we have like about 20 minutes left, and I really would like us, Equa, to go through some other questions that people have pre-submitted. And I'll start with the first question. I'll just give me a second. So first question is how to transition from IT engineer to graphic designer.
Okay. So I think with that, you need to identify the skills that are involved in being a graphic designer. You need to think about where you are at the moment and what skills do you have already that could be useful in that field. But also to join communities, you know, of graphic design, to like learn about skills that are necessary, look at the job descriptions. But I really recommend that you reach out to someone in your network or to connect with someone who is a graphic designer and say, hey, I'm interested in this field. What are the steps I can take to like learn the required software, or the things that I need to build up a portfolio? And I would say it's really about you doing that online learning and taking steps to demonstrate that you can, you know, have the abilities to produce the work. So for graphic design, you would need to start to create some assets around that, and to you know, find out, depending on the area that you want to go into, what are the key softwares, get yourself familiar with that, start to produce that, and find opportunities, whether it's at your own work to do like projects as a, you know, additional like, you know, bonus thing, or whether it's through voluntary activities, you know, like a something you're involved in that has like a website, or has, you know, things that need design for you to step forward and ask for the opportunities to you know, be that designer for them and to learn and to produce stuff for them, and then that in turn starts to build your portfolio.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I hope the person who actually had that question got a really full answer on that. So second question, what strategy would you recommend while cold emailing for a conversation to understand the organization's requirements?
Okay, so I think that you need to do the research on the company, find out like what's new with them in terms of like product releases and company information. And you also need to think about, you know, what is in it for them? So how can you bring your knowledge in terms of a problem that you know that they might be experiencing, to share that you have a solution to help them with that problem. And then once you've demonstrated in this email, so you be like, hey, you know, my name is blah, blah, I'm really excited for your company. I can see that you're, you know, working on these things. But what I think would be fantastic to help you to increase customers or to improve how you do your thing, this is the idea I have. It'd be really great to get on call with someone to talk to you about that. And then once you've demonstrated that you know, they're interested because you've given them something of value, then you can also talk about, you know, hey, I'd like to further find out, you know, what other things that you need to help your business to grow, or whatever it is that you're offering or trying to find out. But I think in the first instance, do that research, but go with something of value, because nobody wants to just give away their time if they're not going to get something in return.
I fully agree with that. Time is precious and we should use it wisely. That's why I'm going to go to the next question quickly, so we can have time for you, Equa, to go and explain the last two slides that we have left. So, how to negotiate a salary with little to no experience when you land a job?
Okay. Now, I was really excited to hear about this one. And I think it's really good that this person is thinking about negotiation, because even if you're early in your career, you can still negotiate a salary. And so I would say, you know, do your research in terms of checking what are the salary ranges in that particular industry, in that field. Ask, you know, friends or relatives or colleagues who've been in that position. Can they give you a ballpark and let you know for that area and the location? But also using websites like Salary Checker, or Paychecker to kind of see data that's available out there to see what is possible. And then I think finally it's considering like the whole package. So, you know, is there vacation? Is there health? Is there, you know, tuition, loan pay back? You know, thinking about the totality of the package and how that could, you know, be negotiated to help you to move forward in the way that you want to. But finally, I would just say, if you're not successful, there is still a way forward on that, and that is to ask them when you're getting the contracts designed and before you sign, is there an opportunity to talk about bonuses or salary raises? So it's written in, so you have the opportunity to have that discussion, even if at the moment they're not prepared to have that discussion with you. But one final thing is that, remember, even if you are just graduating, if you've done an internship or you have demonstrated or got portfolio, always remember to mention that and say that already shows I've demonstrated that I have skills, and that's why I'm asking for X number.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like having that confidence and saying that I have bring those skills, so I can actually bring that you in your company. What are the benefits? What are the growth process and the perks? Amazing, yeah. So the next question is, how do you highlight your skill set?
Okay, so I think it's about understanding, you know, what is required from that role and what are the key skills that are involved, and then, you know, thinking about using the STAR method, that's the situation, task, action, and results, to highlight your skills and talk about how you've created a tangible result. And by going through that method, that methodology, you're able to demonstrate that you have the key skills that they need for this role. And how you have impacted before in the past, and how you can impact again in the future. So I think I'm not, because I don't have a specific, you know, example of what it is that they're trying to demonstrate for the key skills. I think it's about just making sure that you're in sync with what has been asked, and then demonstrating that you're able to do that effectively with tangible examples.
Thank you. I'll just take another question, and then we'll go to your slides. So from Scott, he says, how would you address the question, tell me about yourself, that comes up on an interviews? That's very...
Yes, that is a tough one. I think that's one that a lot of people struggle with. But I think here you got to think about, you're pitching and they want to know how you're going to help the bottom line and what you're going to do for them. So it is about, you know, what you're bringing, but also your excitement and interest in that company. So when you think about telling about yourself, you got to think about, like, what do they want to hear that demonstrates to them that I have the skills in the first place? What do they want to hear about the fact that I really am excited by this opportunity? And what do they want to hear about what is my unique gifts and talents? And marrying that together into like a 2 to 3 minute statement really helps you to describe what you're about, but also ensure that they know that you're the kind of person that they want to hire.
Exactly. To add on that, like, I would say, you know, always start with an ambition. Like, I always have thought I wanted to do this, and like, people do not ask these questions because they want you to tell them your CV once again, but they actually want to say your perspective, right?
Yeah, they want to hear a bit about your story, you know, a bit about why you're interested in that role, a little bit about your skills, and a little bit about what's unique and what's driving you to be attracted to that role, and why you're excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, I will go to your next slide, which is about visibility and LinkedIn tips. So let's move to that because we have a lot to cover. So
okay, yeah. So I highly encourage everyone to be like active on LinkedIn and to complete your profile, because profiles that are incomplete just don't get as much traction, but also they just, you know, don't really give you the opportunity to use features as effectively as if you have completed all the things that you need to on the profile. But the key sections on your profile to complete are the About Me section. This is the place where you can pitch yourself, right? You know, where you can describe your skills and experience, your unique story about why you're interested in this kind of roles, what your key skills are, and really, like, you know, sell that story, your career story. You want recruiters to come to you, right? So on LinkedIn, there's a switch that says show recruiters that you're open to network. Now, depending on how you're doing your search, if it's, you know, you're open to letting the world know, then you just switch it on, and then the green banner comes around your photo and it says open to work. If you're not open about your search, then you can do the same thing, but without having that green banner. Just make sure you tick the right box. But I highly recommend that, because if you have really worked on your About Me section, that will get recruiters coming to you, and then you know, sharing opportunities with you, and that just helps you to bring more opportunities whilst you're also searching you know, out there yourself. Now, what I say about LinkedIn is, like, it's such a great place to share information about your career story. So as we're talking about, don't be afraid to, you know, say, hey, you know, this is my career story, and I'm looking for a new opportunity, and to put it out there. And you'll be surprised that how the people respond and how they want to help you, and how you know, they might be able to connect you with other people. And I know it sounds a bit scary, and it's not for everyone, depending on, you know, how they're conducting their search. But actually, there's a lot of merit in that, because even though you might think, oh, you know, it's going to take a lot of time and no one might respond, by putting it out there, you'll be surprised at how many people do respond, because they know that it takes courage to put yourself out there. So that's definitely one thing to do. And then secondly, using LinkedIn for, you know, finding out information about companies, following the companies that you want to follow, sharing their information, giving your opinions, sharing your learning journey. But one thing I really want to encourage you to do, and something that people find scary, is connecting to people at companies where they want to work at. So if you know you want to work at Amazon, Facebook, Google, it makes sense for you to reach out to people who work there and be like, hey, you know, I see that you worked there you've been working for a couple of years. I'm interested in you know, being in this kind of role. Would you mind having a 10-minute coffee chat with me just to tell me a bit about your journey, and how you got there, and, you know, what's it like, you know, getting hired to that company? Because, you know, yes, not everyone will respond, but more often than not, people do. If you write polite and respectful message, people respond, and that just helps you get intelligence, because by knowing people who work there, one, that's an inside connection for you, and secondly, it also shows that you are proactive and that you really have that desire to work there, and that you're willing to you know, find people that can help you on that journey. And it's not a weird thing, because I find people get a bit nervous. I'm like, well, LinkedIn is about, you know, increasing your network, and about actually, you know, that job seeking element, and helping each other to, you know, exchange information, but also to get further along with job seeking. So that is definitely something I'd highly recommend. And finally, like, it might not be LinkedIn, it's a platform for your particular industry, but do that research and find out where you should be visible, because you need to be visible in an online space so that you can be talking, discussing, connecting, and making those that time, that opportunity to you know, meet with people virtually or, you know, face to face as things move along, and investing in building your network.
Awesome. Yeah. I really agree. So to move to a slide, pitch perfect. So
yeah, so this is just basically going to be a couple of tips on, like, if you're a career changer, really thinking about, you know, valuing your past experience and how it demonstrates how you've got transferable skills, and then why you're going this new career direction, and your USP. That's just say that, but also just to remind you guys that, you know, I know that sometimes when you're moving career or you're transitioning, sometimes you may have had like a bad experience, but focus on the positive and what you're bringing and your impact and the skills that you already have, and acknowledge your desire to learn and grow. That's not negative, as we were talking with Amy. It's really about the fact that you know that you have skills, but you also know that you have that mindset about adaptability, change, and learning. And you talk about, you know, how you're going to be proactive in that learning, and that is amazing and will really be beneficial in the way that you present yourself at your interviews as you go forward with your networking.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. So, Ekua, so where people can find you and learn more about you?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me, connect with you on LinkedIn. My book is available on Amazon as an ebook. It's also available as a paperback from my website, shipping to America and the UK. I've got lots of free resources on personal development and career development. So I've blogged on my website, but also I have a YouTube channel which really talks about building your confidence and different skills that you need to build your career or doing a startup.
Wow, that's great. Honestly, great things. And I would actually share all of this information on the follow-up email, guys. So, Ekua, like, I'm going to share all your social handles, your book link, and where the people can connect with you. And feel free, everyone, to share your link, connect with each other, because the purpose of these chat and learns is not only for us to learn, but also network and learn from each other. So it was like a wonderful evening to have you here, Ekua, and I'm sorry. And to spend this time with you. And I think that all of the information was so valuable. And if I have like one key takeaway, it was like be confident, have confidence, and don't be afraid to pitch. How would you would like to leave this session of ours?
Well, I would just like to say, you know, practice your skills, and know that every time you take action and every time that you believe in yourself, you're helping yourself to be open to opportunities, to really be able to be creative and really be able to, you know, take the steps that you want to take, so that you can actually, you know, build that pathway to your career change or the perfect job. But really actually ask for help and advice, and know that's a real strength. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, because I think that's something that people really need to be aware. It's a valuable skill, and how to do it effectively, so that you get what you need, but you also are able to progress and use the network and reach out to people, and, you know, be active on, you know, the relevant platforms for yourself, but just basically believe in yourself. And really take a positive attitude, and that will really help you to, you know, come back after, you know, rejection or, you know, feedback that is not necessarily what you hope for. But know that being an active learner will also help you to, you know, understand how you can use that feedback usefully. Or, as I like to say, you can sometimes don't have to take feedback just as in it, but find ways to, you know, keep yourself moving forward positively, that build up the skills and the pathway to your new dream job.
Wow, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So thank you everyone for being here with us. Thank you, Kendra, Scott, Amy, Joanne, Candice, Jennifer. Thank you so much, and I will see you to the next one. So bye-bye.